Welcome home, where we provide information,
Hey,
inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I got Don Graves here with me today. How you doing, Don?
hey, Cedric, man, thanks for having me, sir. Looking forward to being on the
Absolutely.
show with you, sir.
Absolutely.
Sure.
You know, you come off as somebody based on our pre-production phone calls who is a man of not too many words. But I don't think that we could really talk enough today about what it is that you've contributed to your family and to the community. And so today I would like to present your story, and I'm going to ask you some key questions. Is that all right with you?
Yes, sir. Let's get into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Where you located?
Man, we're in the Bay Area, East Bay to be specific.
Okay.
San Francisco Bay Area. We call it the Oakland Bay Area, East Bay, home of the Oakland Raiders,
Okay.
Oakland Athletics, all East Bay. So currently I'm in the city of Martinez. I currently reside, my wife and I, in the city of Martinez,
Okay.
a city within Contra Costa County. So
Okay.
that's where I'm,
Got
where
it.
I'm at.
Got it. Now, when I think of East, when I think of Oakland, did you say East Oakland?
East Bay,
East
which
Bay.
includes
Okay.
the city of Oakland.
Okay.
There's the East Oakland, the Flatland.
Okay. I
Yes, sir.
got to get out there. So you're a Raiders fan, huh?
Oh, yes, sir. Raider Nation. So, Cedric, when you come to the Bay Area, man, I got to show you around. So,
Oh
we
yeah, for
welcome that.
sure. For sure. What is the what's the food and culture like out there?
It's real diverse here, man. The Bay Area has multicultural, Asians. We got Filipino, Ethiopian food, just you name it. Indian food is here in the Bay Area. The thing I love about California is there's microclimate. So you could
Okay.
be hot inland, go to the coast, be 60 degrees, or you can go 3 hours in and you're skiing, or it's
Wow. Right.
everything's within driving distance, and that's one thing I love about California, specifically Northern California.
So you mean to tell me that you could be running on the beach 1 minute and you could be skiing in the same day?
In the same day, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
It's possible.
That's actually pretty interesting. I don't know much about California, but to your point, I like to get out there and do some hiking and checking out the climates and stuff like that. That's pretty cool.
Man, we'd love to have you. You got a place to stay when you come out here to the Bay.
Have you ever done both in the same day?
No, I haven't. I don't ski, but I've done a whole bunch of other things. Been hot, went to the beach.
Right.
Yeah, got on the water. Went to the lake all in the same day.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot to do out here.
Were you actually born and raised out there in the same area?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Great question. I was born in Oakland, California.
Okay.
Many people don't know when you say I was born in East Oakland, they say ain't no hospital in East Oakland, but there's actually Oakland Naval Hospital. Was a naval hospital in Oakland in the hills of East Oakland above Nolan Park, Oakland Zoo. So I was born in those hills in 1969. So my dad was in the Navy. My dad was a chief petty officer, ordnanceman, and so he kind of met my mom in the Philippines, and we settled here in California. So I was actually born in Oakland along with my siblings. I'm the middle child of 7. So there's 7 of us running around. 6 of us now. Rest in peace to my sister who passed in 2016 due to breast cancer. But there's 6 of us, and we're all here in the Bay.
Wow. Okay. And so your father was in the Navy. So did he have you? Was he raising you like a young soldier?
Oh, for sure. My dad was no joke. My dad, his inflection in his voice will get you sitting up straight.
Wow.
So it's like there were times we'd be lounging around in the living room, slack, and you hit my dad's door squeak. When you hear that squeak, everyone sit up. And so, I credit a lot of that, his work ethic, just in terms of being the characteristics that he instilled in me. I see now, and just in terms of work ethic, discipline, focus, being a man of your word, you're gonna say it, do it, and a lot of that has kind of rolled over into my adult life.
Wow!
Thank Pops.
Sure. Much respect. I have a cousin who's more like a brother. he also had a military father, and you know, we could tell the difference between the way that he approached us and dealt with us, and you know, any ordinary civilian. Because I mean, he would wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and, you know, catch you sleeping and be like, "Why are you still sleeping at 4 o'clock in the morning? You know, 5 o'clock in the morning." You know, you should
Because I'm a kid.
yeah.
Because I'm a kid. Can I be a kid?
Yeah.
But
So you know, what was life like for you as a kid in the middle of 7?
well, you know, early on it was fun. We moved around a lot. Think about being a military kid. So we lived on naval bases. So we've been to Japan, Komodorski, Alameda, and when my dad retired, he's settled in the city of Newark, which is 15 minutes south of Alameda County. And
Not
so
Newark,
I moved to Newark, California. I get that all the time, but there's actually a Newark, California. It's south of Oakland. It's about 15 minutes south of Oakland, and that's where I was raised. And so that's why we was always up and down the freeway. We call it 880 or the Nimitz Freeway.
Okay.
They call it 17, Highway 17, but it encompasses from Albany, California, all the way down to Milpitas, and that's our whole area from Newark all the way to Oakland, back and forth. So that's what we call the East Bay.
Okay. And what was
but growing up was cool. Early on, I had a fun childhood. You know, being in the middle of 7, we had, you know, the toys, the GI Joes, and all that. But as I had older brothers, by the time I got to 12, my junior high school year, 7th grade, the age of 12, I had older brothers who were in high school, and they were already gang involved. And so by the time I was 12, I'm trying to follow my brother's footsteps and be bad like them. And, you know, kind of took me a detour, so to speak. It took me
they you know, when I hear about California, I do think about gang culture. Yeah. Was that something that was impacting you early in life? And I mean, did you have to go?
Yeah.
Or did they come and find you?
They found, see, my brothers was already involved. So I'm born in 69. So I got a brother born in 65 and 67, right? And so they were always older than me. And so as a 12-year-old, I'm hanging with my older brothers and their friends. And so I'm 12 years old hanging with 17, 18, 19-year-olds. And so quite naturally, you kind of get connected. And when you talk about gang life, when I'm talking about gang life, I didn't just see these as gangsters. Like, I saw them, these were my friends. These were my associates. These were people that I could depend on. We had like similarities. And so it's a trip, because now as I grew and saw gang activity, I can also look at organized team sports and match them together. The same tenets involved in gang activity you can find in organized team sports or any type of sport or any type of team. Think about it. Camaraderie, sense of belonging, you know, a sense of purpose, a sense, you know, and that's what we was doing all up and down the Bay Area. And when you go into street parties and house parties and you 18 carloads deep, yeah, you a gang.
So,
and we weren't doing the nicest of things either.
Right.
At 12, 13, 14, we were hurting a lot of people up and down the Bay Area, you know, and as I grow, it's funny. I think you and I had mentioned this in a previous conversation about 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 12 through 17, because what that speaks about is God anointed and appointed you, even in your unbelief and ignorance.
Right.
And so that's what we was doing. We were ignorant in unbelief, but he still had his hand on us, man. Because but God, it had to be God to have us survive what we've survived. Been shot at during that gang banging. My brother got stabbed 14 times, punctured both his lungs.
Whoa.
He's alive to this day. We've been shot at. And just right when I started, like, say, you know, I want to play sports, is when it really started to go down, just in terms of the elevation of what was happening in and around our community. And so when I made a conscious decision to play sports, see, because what happened, I was gang ball at 7, 12, 13. So by my freshman year in high school, I was expelled.
Hold on. I just got to break this down a little bit.
Yes, sir.
So you got involved in gangs when you were around the age of 7?
12. In the 7th grade.
Oh, in the 7th grade.
In the 7th grade.
Okay.
But I was 12 years old.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you all were looking for brotherhood. So it wasn't like, hey, let me be a gangster. It was more like, let me find brotherhood outside. Would you say that?
And it actually found us because the folks who was hanging around with was,
They were already
they were just
affiliated.
involved, affiliated. And so
Right.
I just started hanging around with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where it kicked off.
Okay.
Because when you're 12, 13, 14, you hang around with cats much older than you, and they're doing much older things. It kind of makes you grow up a little bit faster.
Is
And
there
I
any
just remember.
is there anything that we could do to prevent young men and women from joining gangs? And the reason why I ask you that is this: you quickly acknowledged that y'all were doing, some violent things to innocent people. Now, if
That's
you
correct.
had said, we were just having brotherhood and everything was positive years on, and then we started doing something, but it sounds like right away y'all were doing some things that you knew weren't right. So, do you think that there's any way that we could curb young people joining gangs at the age of 12 and 13 years old?
Man, so into them at a young age, man. We really need to get God back in the picture, just in terms
Wow.
of the sound scripture. There's a lot of falsehoods going out there in terms of the word and the interpretation of the word and scripture and all that. But the word is true. God watches his word to perform it. And when I started to learn word, I realized I started to see myself in it. And I started to see it started to take me like, I'm cool. I'm not trying to do that. And so I had a conscience and I wanted to do better. So it says, let your light shine before men so they see your good works and they glorify your Father who's in heaven. See, but even though God had his hand on us, we was doing other things. It wasn't until some tragedy occurred that really was my last straw. My 19th birthday weekend, I had a friend, he got murdered. And basically he got murdered over a kilo of cocaine. So at that time, a kilo was worth $15,000. So in essence, this man lost his life at the age of 19 over $15,000.
Right.
And I'm going into my sophomore year at Chabot Community College. And that was the last straw for me. I buried my head in the books. I got full ride scholarship to University of Montana. I played football for them. I got my degree. And so that was pretty much the beginning of my career.
So sports was your way out of gang life.
Yes, and they had to respect that first and foremost because my family put in a lot of work first in the Bay Area. So this particular gang, I'll say all brothers together because I'm still cool with them. They grown. We just grown, and our focus is shifted. Not doing dirt, but building people up and building families and all that. But those same tenets are still there. That same love, same all that is still there.
Give me 1 second. You know what? I want to expound on that because that's also powerful. When you can go from doing the wrong thing out here, shift your mentality, and then start doing the right thing with those very same people. What did it talk about that transformation for you to you and a couple of the guys that were in the gangs, transformed your lives into a better thing? What was that like for you? How did y'all do it?
Well, for me, it was quite natural for me. We had a coach, a very renowned high school football coach out here, Richard Swift. And Coach Swift, he kind of built Newark Memorial High School, the sports program, the football team, and he was well respected. My brothers played for him, but they quit. They didn't quit, but they just, chose the streets over the field. And so what ended up happening, my freshman year in high school, I got expelled for fighting. And so I was ineligible my sophomore year in high school. So I couldn't play. And so every time I played my freshman year, then after my freshman high school year playing football, I got expelled. And so for my sophomore year, I was ineligible. So that whole sophomore year, Coach Swift was saying, "Hey, Graves, how's the view from the stands? Or how you like watching the game from the sidelines?" And that would eat away at me. And I said, I'm going to play for this man. I'm about to show him I can play. And so having that mentality, I'm going to play for this man, shifted my focus and took me away from hanging out in the streets. And something else vital happened. My girlfriend actually at the time, her parents moved to LA, but she wanted to finish high school in Newark. And so my parents let her move in. And so it was like, man, they knocked on my door. Don, you gonna ride out tonight? No. Now you gonna come out? No. But it got to the point where it started getting disrespectful, and so we really literally had to fight our way out of the game. And when I say fight, it's not like when we saw them in the mall. I'd be in the mall with a couple of my boys and my girlfriend. They'd be like 20, 25 deep. And so, but they didn't disrespect. It was like one-on-one. It's like, we're gonna fight one-on-one. And y'all ain't gonna mop us up here. It was some honor about that. So we took each and every battle, each and every fight, and pretty much at that time started playing football. But then when your name started to show up in the newspapers and all that, they gotta respect the game, because I was wrong.
Right, because
I was pretty good at what I did.
It's not like you're not putting in the effort to change your life, and everybody can see it when your name is in the paper because you're involved in sports, you're involved in something positive, and you're making press about it. But in the meantime, you have to fight your way out of the game.
Yeah, we ain't no punks. I mean, that didn't leave. It's just our desire left to do certain things. Like I found myself wanting to be in shape as opposed to going out, to a keg party. Like I did that for myself. I think it was pretty selfish. I think it could have been viewed as selfish. Don's trying to do this, but what it was is ultimately, being gang involved, you're gonna get arrested, and that was the in and out of that. I'm coming from a 2-parent household, so it's like you're dragging your mom to court, and it hit me one day. I recall I was mad at my mama because she was taking too long to get dressed to take me to court. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there like, why are you mad at her? Y'all have to go to court. You're the one that has to go to court. And I was like, I made a conscious decision, like, this ain't for me, man. So that day they gave me 3 years probation. And I was thankful I didn't go to juvenile hall. I was just thankful I didn't go to juvenile hall. So at that point, I was like, well, if I violate, they're going to take me to juvenile hall. So I tried my best not to violate. And it was actually that probation officer who saw I was starting to do good. He saw, well, you're playing sports, you got a job. You don't have to come see me every month. You can come see me every other month. And that there is what really catapulted me in terms of like, well, this man's putting trust in me. I'm not trying to let him down. I'm definitely not trying to let my family down. So it's more, that gang involvement, but it's more individual. Like, I got people that need me, so to speak. And I'm not going to let them down. Right. So I knew my parents didn't really know thug. Right. We had thugly tendencies, but my brothers, I got one brother's awesome master automotive technician, another brother graduated from San Francisco State, my sister that passed graduated from UC Berkeley. I got a younger sister graduated from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. I got another younger sister, she was in Wales getting her bachelor's, and so it's like my parents didn't raise buffoons. That makes sense. So it was just, we were going through experiences that we acted out, and we self-corrected by that seed that hopefully we'll be getting into, because that's what was happening. My parents planted seed in me, and it took time to sprout. But when it did, I understood what they was trying to tell me, and I embraced that, and I share that with the youth that I work with to this day, because it was really someone's belief in me that motivated me to kind of turn it around, whether it was my football coach, my probation officer, trying to prove the gang members wrong, because I knew I could play sports and I could go far with it, and it really did.
When you talk about the seed that you were, which just needed time to sprout, and all the experiences along the way were just the time that it took for you to sprout into the tree that you are today. Can you explain that analogy for young people out there who might be, waist deep in the gangs right now?
Well, our ability, like as adults now, and scripture says that we'll be disrespectful to our parents and all that, but somewhere along the line, someone is going to say something to you that's going to resonate. And I feel like that's the truth. When you hear the truth, it ripples throughout your body, right? And so we're in the business of planting seeds. And a seed could be a simple thought. Hey, you're powerful. Hey, you're very intelligent. Hey, did you know? And then when that seed is planted, then we water it with financial support, encouragement, truth, man. When you operate with righteous intent, that tree is gonna that root, that seed is gonna take root, and it's gonna plant, and it's gonna hopefully, scripture says a tree is known by its fruit. So hopefully your tree produces great fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what it is, and that's what we've been doing. That's what I've been doing in my child welfare career, is trying to plant seeds in these young adults, knowing that they're going to be future leaders, and to be in it for so long, to see like this young man who may have been cussing you out, going AWOL, doing all that, to now a college graduate, a family man, coming back to the program, volunteering time, and you see that transformation, so it works. So now you have a model, and that you just keep producing that, keep doing it. Like, and I find when you give of yourself, truly of yourself, things can happen, because people will look at you and say, well, man, that resonated with me. I felt that. He must have had some type of lived experience for him to be able to talk to me like this and tell me. It's like, yeah.
Now, when did you actually get involved in the life of being a role model and child welfare? When did you make that transition?
Well, I want to take it back to the gang activity, because actually when I was a gang leader. I was leader of the gang,
Okay.
the faction I was with. And so those leadership skills were instilled in me from a young age, watching, my parents, and how they operated. And so I naturally had leadership skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a hard worker. So all those tenets, all those characteristics were just in me throughout. It's just I was using it for negativity. Right. And when I changed and shifted to the positive, it really, when I got my job, actually, is when I really started to realize. So the story goes like this, man. I graduated from the University of Montana with a bachelor's degree. I came home and was hanging out. I was going to the clubs. I was borrowing money from my parents. And then I made a pact to myself, like, man, you have a college degree. What are you doing? So I said, man, this is the last weekend I'm partying. On Monday, I'm going to start looking for a job. Well, Monday, I opened up the Oakland Tribune. There's a position in there for a counselor. I called that number. They called me in for an interview the next day, which was Tuesday. They called me back for a second interview, which is Thursday, and gave me the job and said, you can start tomorrow. I said, well, tomorrow's my birthday. And they said, well, you can start next week. I said, no, I want to start tomorrow. So I started in child welfare on September 11th, 1992.
Wow.
And so every birthday is another year in child welfare. And so, yeah, so it's big in that sense, where God brought it together. I actually went to Montana to study sociology with an emphasis in criminology. My whole goal was to be a probation officer, to be like that probation officer I had.
Right.
That was cool. Now I was trying to sew into somebody else. Mm-hmm. But when I got home and landed a job as a counselor, it kept me on the child welfare side. And so I just remained on the child welfare side. I worked my way up to field facility manager, then field supervisor, and then Timothy Hamp hired me with Contra Costa County Independent Living Skills Program in April of 1996.
Right.
And then he left in 98. I became the coordinator, and I've been the coordinator ever since. But in around that time, Cedric, it's important that you understand that in around that time, 1997, 1998, 1999, we were meeting with First Lady Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
And so we had a little impact in that. We had our California Youth Connection had a meeting with Hillary Clinton, and they told her the question. She came to UC Berkeley to introduce the Adoption and Safe Families Act, but she wanted to know what happens to youth that don't get adopted. And she sat with a group of youth. We happened to have a young man in that room from Richmond, California, and he told her we end up aging out of the foster care system, having to fend for ourselves. She asked him what's working. He said the Independent Living Skills Program is working, but there's not enough funding to meet all the needs of all the youth accessing services. And he gave her a book. Fast forward 2 years, this young man gets invited to the White House to the bill signing of the John Chafee Independence Act. Cedric, that act was huge for us. It doubled the ILP allocation nationwide from 70 million to 140 million. But the most important piece, it extended aftercare services from 6 months to 36 months. So at that time in California, if you graduate from high school and were 18 or 19, the county, the social worker can go to court and get your case vacated and dismissed. And so we were able, once your case is vacated and dismissed, we're able to help you for 6 months. So at 18 and a half ILP, my staff, we couldn't help you anymore. So that legislation was huge for us.
Would you say that your involvement and the other youth's involvement, starting from your interaction with Hillary Clinton, led to you all influencing the enactment of the Chafee Act, the extension of the Chafee Act?
I truly believe California Youth Connections, their power, you know, the respect they've garnered over the years that they've been in existence. Because you have to understand, California Youth Connection is a foster youth advocacy group.
Okay.
It's made up of current and former foster youth between the ages of 14 and 24. And their whole goal is to empower themselves and their communities to transform the foster care system through policy and legislative change. Right. Okay. And so all the legislation in the state of California was generated because that relates to the child welfare system or foster care is because California Youth Connection. Wow. And it was California Youth Connection that were invited guests when Hillary Clinton, the first lady, came to UC Berkeley. CYC occupied the whole first row. I was just part of the Contra Costa County chapter that day, but I was in the first row and we got to meet Hillary, and she was a wonderful lady. And what she did for these youth in the foster care system, I won't forget, because I know she was a staunch advocate for these youth transitioning out. And she made that happen, in my opinion. One of the key people.
How did it affect your leadership when the Chafee Act got extended? What did you all start to do differently? And
wow. Yeah.
What did you all do differently? And give us the key points that we need to know clear across the country about what we can do better in child welfare.
Yeah, definitely. If you're going to be working with transition age youth, you need to have some type of focus group, some type of committee that gets together and you guys get from the youth's mouth, directly from the youth's voice. Like, hey, get the ones that went through the foster care system, bring them back, talk to the ones that are currently in the foster care system, get what they need, hear from the youth's voice. Like what happened for us is we got trained by Child Welfare League of America. CWLA is the oldest child welfare agency in America. So I want to give a shout out to Robin Nixon, because she kind of made a lot of that happen for us. And she would come out to California and train to positive youth development. So when I heard the philosophy of positive youth development, I was sold, because it's basically dealing with all the isms, right? Ageism, and all that, and our own biases, and throwing those biases out, because it's not about us, it's about the youth in which you're serving. So how can we do in our best interest, do in our best ability to help this youth achieve their goals? Hopefully you are where you want to be. I'm where I want to be. I'm like, now it's like, it's up to me to sow into the next generation. It's the next generation that's going to be on America's Next Motivator. It's not going to be me. It's going to be that seed that we planted that took root, that's now growing its own tree, that's now bearing its own fruit. And as long as the more trees you plant that can produce good fruit, man.
You know what? I love your perspective, Don. Ladies and gentlemen, this is already a profound conversation. If you're listening to what this man is saying, he transformed his life from something that was potentially destructive in the community to something that has been extremely productive in the community. And each and every one of us has a potential to do the same. We're going to be right back with more from Don Graves after a brief message. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network. And we're
He
back.
was
Don,
wild.
how you feeling out there?
Hey, I'm feeling good, man. Thank you, Cedric. Feeling great.
Yeah, for sure. Right back into it. What did you guys do from a financial standpoint? I know you mentioned that once you identify, what a young person is doing and where they want to go, that it's important to invest in them financially. Did you guys begin to educate and provide finances for the young people that y'all were working with?
Oh yeah. So basically, when the Shafi Independence passed, it gave us a lot more money. I mean, at that time, we're having meetings on, okay, we had to spend $150,000 in 3 months. And so at that time,
Wow.
we got to be creative, and we always had youth involvement. So I always had this dream of building a 10,000 square foot youth facility.
Okay.
And so that's where some of the money went. I pitched the idea because I want to say this. When Timothy Hamp left, he hired me. Then when he left in 1998, he went to run Covenant House in Oakland, California. And so Covenant House, he was the first executive director for Oakland East Bay Covenant House. And so he built a facility on 27th and Telegraph. And I would go visit Tim because I was dealing with homeless youth coming out of the foster care system, and he had shelter. So we would always communicate. So it was his facility that I saw on 27th and Telegraph that I took that model, I rounded it to 5,000, I doubled it. I wanted the same facility as Timothy Hamp. I just wanted twice as big. And so that's when I started pitching it to the county.
Are
And we
you
actually, it's funny.
hold on? Are you telling me that you ended up having your own 10,000 square foot building?
Well, it was a dream, a vision, a thought that we put out into the universe. And yeah, the county got behind it. And when the county got behind it, they found space. And the space that they found in the IBW, shout out to International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 302 here in Martinez, California. But they were building a new union hall, but they had no use for the second floor.
Okay.
And so they allowed us to come and build. And so that second floor happens to be 10,600 square feet.
Wow.
Like,
that's a dream come true.
So, yeah, it really is, truly. And so I tell youth all the time, like, man, don't let anyone tell you that your dream can't become a reality. Don't let anyone tell you that, right? Because actually, when I first came with this idea and brought it to the county, I was actually laughed at. They said it was wishful thinking.
They
But I
laughed at
believe, and yeah, they said it was wishful thinking. But I believe, and so I wrote a letter to the director at the time, and the director was just so supportive that he mentioned that at one of our annual recognition dinners. And yeah, 2 years, I guess that was 1999, and August 2001, we moved in. So we just made our 19th year anniversary occupying that space. And so in that space, it's a classroom, a computer lab, a kitchen, a shower, a food pantry, a clothes closet, office space, and meeting space. And so, yeah,
what you've done, a lot of people want to do. And you're pretty much a case study in terms of what you were able to achieve. So I don't want to just glaze past that accomplishment. That's a really big accomplishment. I talk to people all the time, me, myself included, who would like to create a space where they can provide services. But people find it hard to create connections with local businesses who can sponsor. And then it comes down to what curriculums will you put there. It takes years to become an effective visionary in the way that you've become. So can you talk to me about the process of creating that space? What type of blood, sweat, and tears went into making that a reality?
Man, it happened relatively fast. Again, the timing was important. You got the John Shafi Independence Act that passed that provided more funding. And so we moved fast on it. But it took a lot of not trial and error, but it took a lot of advocating. See, because the folks that are in power, they have to understand that this is a wise, worthy investment, right? To put that type of money into it. But that was like a no-brainer at that time because we were, we're producing a lot of high school graduates. These graduates going on to community college, vocational training. They're keeping in contact with the program. So it was like, we know this program works. It's just we need to support it. And so they got behind it. I
Well,
actually
hold on,
had two youth sit in.
hold on. I want to know, what were y'all saying to these people? What were you saying? Because it's not easy to get somebody to back you for a 10,000 square foot of anything to do anything. So what were y'all saying? Were you creating seminars? Were you creating assemblies? What were y'all doing?
No, I was just talking to upper management, child welfare, and saying that we need a 10,000 square foot facility. And they knew we needed a facility. I don't think they imagined it to be that big. So I think that's where God came in, you know, and God made some things happen, because, you know, it says he will change the hearts and minds of kings, right? So he had to be involved in that one for them to find a 10,000 square foot facility. Again, I didn't know what 10,000 square foot looked like. I just wanted twice as big as 10's facility. So for that to be 10,600 square feet, I had already had a wish list. It was like, okay, if you had a 10,000 square foot facility, what would you have in it? So I would doodle. I had a friend that had AutoCAD. And so we would doodle around, play around. I put a classroom, a library, a computer lab. I play around square footages. And I was really trying to like be an architect in that. And so when they found the facility, we actually had two youth that were interested in architects. So we had them sit in on the whole process. So in that facility, those youth, they designed the walls, the curvatures, the window shades. They selected the furniture, the carpet color. Everything you see in that building has youth input.
Okay.
Youth input, man. And that's what we're all about is positive youth development, meeting these youth where they are, and using some of the skill sets and our lived experiences to breathe life in them, so to speak, to plant those seeds and to encourage them so that they too can rise up and be a Don Graves, be a Cedric Riley, be themselves, and know what they have to offer the world.
Absolutely.
And all I can do is offer myself. That's what I realized. All I can do is offer myself and my experiences, man. I want to leave this earth empty because I want to sow it into everybody else, man.
Wow. You know, when you got what you wanted, that must have enabled you to really make a direct impact on a lot more youth at one time. So can you talk to me about some of the successes that y'all had after y'all opened that building?
Oh, man. See, think about the gang mentality I had mentioned. Like when someone believes in something, right, they want to be a part of, that's what we created at ILSP. That's how I kind of facilitated the development of ILP. Get good people. Just like putting like you're a general manager, right? And you're putting a football team together. You got to have solid people, man. You can't have people on your team that need more work than the young adults in which you're working with. Now you're, you know what I'm saying? That's not going to work. So you have to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. We can have different philosophies. You could be an atheist. You could be, Buddhist. But when there's a common denominator, that common denominator better add up to what we try to do in ILSP. And that's to serve these youth and to sow into these youth. We can have those other conversations, but later, on personal time, we can talk about why I believe in Yeshua Christ and all that, and why, we can have those. But if it has nothing to do with the youth, leave it there, because what we're trying to do is focus on these young adults so they're not ending up homeless, incarcerated, or lacking.
Right. Or subject to the predatory nature of a lot of people that are out there, which leads me to my next question. Do you feel like the space that you all created assists in the protection of youth who are either wards of the state or, are involved in the child welfare system?
I'm sorry, my dog, man.
Hey, let your dog.
I apologize. Well, here, I think, yes, it does. We serve as a preventative measure. But here's the thing. It's like, you have to meet an individual first, right? They don't know me from Adam. So when they meet me, then that's when we start talking about their individual. See, we can't have that cookie cutter approach, right? Every individual is unique. And so we have to treat him as that. But when you go through that process and you realize that, oh, Cedric's cool, I can trust in Cedric, and then you go on to do good things at 24, 25, when that adolescent brain develops, you're going to think back like, who was that in my life that really helped me out? And for a lot of youth, that's us. And so they call back and they come back. They want to volunteer. They give their money. Like, we've been doing so long. I know some youth in their 40s, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just turned 51. So I've been child welfare for 28 years. So we know older youth that come back to the program and sow into the youth, just like we sown into them. So it creates that gang mentality all over again, that sense of pride. This is home. You know, we create a home base. So no matter where you go, you know you got home base here. You can be 28 years old and know ILSP and know that ILSP assisted you in some sort of way. And when you get there, you want to give back. That's just the natural order of things. Man, if you're not getting service, man, what are we doing?
That's right.
Ultimately, if you're not giving back to your fellow mankind, what are we actually doing? What are we accomplishing? I mean, is our goal to have money? You can have the most money in the world. Is it going to fulfill you? Man, I get fulfillment sowing into one of these youngsters, one of these young adults. When I call them youngsters, but they actually are future leaders.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, I see you as somebody who was gifted to the world to help others. You know, when an adult steps in and helps a young person, helps a child, it means the world to them. You know, and every adult doesn't make it their business to be a positive person in the life of a child or children in general. So for you to make that your life's work is nothing less than divine. Can you talk to me about the divine calling that is on people's lives, whether they know it or not?
Whether they know it or not. And again, I want to reference 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 12 through 17. I think everyone should read that in the New Living Translation and read it as if you're talking to God. But in it, to me, it spoke to me. It spoke to me because it says, in my unbelief, right? In my unbelief, right? In ignorance, I denied you, but you still anointed and appointed me because you want to use me as a shining example so people can see like, wow, look at Don Grace, which is a trick because I get that a lot, Cedric. Like the people that knew me in high school, they see what I'm doing now. It's hard for them to connect the pieces. Like, well, damn, wasn't he just thugged out and like hurting people left and right? And now he's like helping. So it's hard for them, but those tenets are still in you. And so when I was doing all that, I was doing it in my ignorance, but God still had his hand on me. And I know what I heard when I asked God for my purpose in life. I know what I heard. And I heard, look out after these orphans. They just don't call them orphans anymore. But I heard that. He even led me to Ezekiel 37, which says, Son of man, and I'm paraphrasing, but Son of man, in the spirit of the Lord, I place you in the valley of dry bones, and believe upon these bones, prophesy over them. And I also heard that the breath that you breathe into them is knowledge of true self, so they can stand on their own 2 feet and be self-sufficient. So people say, like, well, you can't hear from God, like God, that guy is like, well, he's blessed what we've been doing. You know, it says out of the mouths of a babe, right? That's why I want to thank Erica Hickey Smith. Like Erica Hickey Smith is the one that really connected you and I. And so she came through the program. She's doing some amazing things in her life, and she's one of hundreds or thousands that we've known over the years.
You know what?
We just try to bring out in them what's already in them, right? Because Cedric, you've been intelligent. You was intelligent. It's just like we have to grow. We have to realize it and come into our own. Yeah, but sometimes we're cut down before we're even able to grow. We're cut down with negative thoughts or saying you can't do that, or negative reinforcement as opposed to the positive reinforcement. Lastly, are you going to speak life into somebody, or are you going to speak death into somebody? Well,
that's right.
Speak life.
That's right. Let me shout out some of our visitors here today. I see you, Yolanda Riley, out there. I love you. I see you, Dred Scott, J. Matt Matthews, Eddie Jackson in the building. I see you, and I appreciate you all. Even the folks that we can't see that are tuning in today, I appreciate you. I want to let you know that. And I want you to pass this message along. Don Graves represents the person who might be misdirected in the beginning. They might be gang banging in the beginning. They might be knocking people over, beating people up, selling drugs, doing drugs. Not unlike me, not unlike you, not unlike anybody. But can turn their life around and become a savior of others No matter how far you are in the streets, no matter how deep you are in a gang or a life of devilishment, you can turn it around, become a savior amongst your people, and you could bring some of your fellow cohorts with you. That's what we got to do out here in the communities today. Turn it around. It takes a man with 2 strong legs to turn around a life of crime and devilishment into one worthy of saving other people. And it can be done.
Definitely.
Let's do that work, y'all. That's what you represent today, Don.
Yeah.
And I appreciate
I appreciate that. Appreciate you, Cedric, for giving me a platform really to tell my story. You know, my family, they know my journey, but don't too many colleagues know what I've been through. Matter of fact, some who hear that I was gang involved, they like, Don? Like what? They just can't envision that. They can't.
No, they can't. But this is the thing, and this is why this platform was created, to show the community what we're really doing. We're out here turning our lives around.
Yeah.
We're out here turning our lives around. Don Graves is an example of it. We got Eddie Jackson out there. Eddie Jackson is a huge potential in our communities to do the very same thing and more.
Yeah.
You make no history when you can be labeled as a miscreant, a vagabond, a gangster. You make no real history. When you turn your life around, you become a living legacy. You become history. We're talking about history now.
Yeah.
Don Graves, you are an important member of history. Eddie Jackson, you are an important member of history.
Amen.
All you got to do is because the conditioning has been taking place for hundreds of years. It's designed for you to go out there and become a gangster. It's designed for you to go out there and start robbing and taking what you think is yours. It's designed for you to go out there and be incorrect. But when you go against the design and become that which God manifested you to become, you're making the world a better place. You're going somewhere fast. Now you're going somewhere fast. You know, Don, what's next? What's next for you, CYC, and your colleagues? What's next for you all?
Well, shout out to all those that are struggling. We talk about this pandemic, but just think about these foster youth out here.
Yeah.
That lost their jobs and they're dependent on that money to pay their rent. So if you think folks middle class is struggling, just think about these folks out here that don't have much. So for us, it's getting the word out there. And I gotta give a shout out to everybody in Contra Costa County that's ever supported this program financially, man. We got some folks stepping up in the community that have been donating money for numbers of years, thousands of dollars. And we've actually since March, since this shelter in place, we've raised over $30,000 and we're buying $50 gift cards.
Wow.
Because if you think about Target, they have essential items, they have hygiene, and they have food. And so what better way than to immediately get somebody a $50 so they can get them some food that may last a week if they shop right,
Right. Yeah.
Spaghetti. And so we're going to continue doing that, stepping up, getting into the community and trying to get this community support. We've always been supported by the community, and we want to step that up because we know there's a lot of people out here with big pockets, deep pockets still, right? That can use that money to create some success. Mm-hmm. And if you have deep pockets, holler at your boy, get at me, cocoisp.org. You can give me a call because I know one thing, all the dollars that have come into our program, 100% of it has been used for the youth. And the way we have our 501c set up with the county, employees work that portion. So 100% of the monies that go into this account go to the youth. And we've been helping with emergency rental assistance, transportation, employment, clothing or boots. We've had youth get jobs where they need steel-toe boots and they can't wait 2 weeks for the county process. We need something like immediately. And so that's what we're hoping to do is create financial support so these youth can get their goals met.
That's right. I think that's phenomenal. when you say that 100% of these funds go to the youth, are you also teaching youth how to manage their finances?
Oh yeah, we're partnering. We partner with banks, Travis Credit Union, the Youth Finance Institute of America, Financial Planning Associates. They're all nonprofit accountants and so forth. But the Youth Finance Institute of America just got funding from Travis Credit Union, and they're hosting our whole financial series in the month of October. So we're going to be online on Zoom, on our workshops weekly, and we're going to be talking about finances. Not necessarily how we were taught, because I'm laughing now as I just turned 51. I'm still learning stuff about money that I wish I knew when I was 25. And I've been younger, knowing this information I have now. Yeah, we would have been financially better off.
In the era that we live in today, how important is it to figure out how to invest?
Very important. Think about it. We talk about, like, early on in my career, we're talking about save your money. But if you save your money, that's good. Those are great habits to have. But at some point, you have to realize that your money that you saving in that bank is growing at what, a 1% interest? When you can invest it may bring back 5%. That 5% is still higher than that 1%. So yeah, you have risk about investing, but I think people need to learn about it, because that's when they talk about your portfolio and diversifying it. And like, we don't talk that. We weren't told that in high school, and that's what I'm looking at. How can we get these youth to use money, their skill sets that they have, to benefit them better or sooner? You know, it's like we were taught, go to college, get a degree, get a higher paying job, and then retire, right? Well, now it's like, man, it's instant. So we coding, these different type of vocational training programs. A lot of our youth want to go become guards, guard card, because it's easy. You can get your guard card. Now you have a job. Now you're working. So we have to provide opportunities for these youth to learn who they are, keeping in mind that the adolescent brain development doesn't fully develop till 24, and they're done with my program at 21. So I know we have to plant these seeds at 15, at 16, because when they're 21, they're no longer eligible, but they're still growing. So how can we create systems to support them until they are truly self-sufficient?
Ladies and gentlemen, the mindset of this gentleman is what we need to learn from and adapt to and incorporate into our philosophies. His altruism, his willingness to be a philanthropist. This is all natural leadership. And it's hard work and it's dedication. I respect it. Don, I got a few questions for you as we round third base. The first one is, what is survival to you?
Man, survival is just merely existing. Like, you're just basics survival. You're just merely existing. That's what survival is to me. We're trying to transition from survival, survive to thrive. Like, how does someone thrive? Right? Mm-hmm. We want to be able to get to where we are so we can give back. I think that's what it boils down to. And when you're just merely surviving, you can't tap into the godly gifts that you had to give, because you're merely thinking about self. Like, how can I maintain? How can I keep this roof over here? How can I eat? That's survival. But when you're thriving, it's like you, Cedric, you're on this radio show giving game to thousands, countless people that's watching. That's thriving, because now you reach the point to where you're giving of yourself. And I think that's what we all have to get to, because we can't take none of these finances with us, but with an indelible mark on these young adults that we're working with. That's so right. Survival to me, that's just merely just barely
getting by, right? And what I'm acknowledging is that a lot of us are in survival mode, and we have the right to get the information. A lot of us are in survival mode, but we have the right to the information, the opportunity, and the exposure to get out of survival mode. It's got to be part of it. gotta be part of the organization's mission statement to help people get out of survival mode. It's survival mode that's causing the crime. It's survival mode that's causing the deceit. It's survival mode that's causing the failure. Let's address that.
Yeah.
What is greatness to you? We got 30 seconds left. What's greatness to you?
Oh man, greatness is just coming into your true self and understanding who you are, understanding who your purpose is here on this earth, and who God is in you. I'll take you back to let your light shine before men, so they see your good works and glorify your Father who's in heaven. That's greatness.
Don Graves, I want to let you know that I've listened to you today and I've listened to you well. I want to let you know